in terms of how the money has already been divided.
Right. Well, it will give that that look at efficiency and whether or not we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and will report those findings to the council and to the public, which is very important. The proposition that will be on the ballot will also set up a orderly schedule, calendar for auditing departments. You know, the reason we had some of these problems in the Sheriff's Department and others was that we simply didn't have any requirement that the auditor go there. Now, people say, and my opponent is not for this. He says it's too bureaucratic, and he thinks that the you know, that the internal auditor ought to report to the CEO. And I strongly disagree with him on that point, because I want that kind of oversight, so that if somebody asks me to do something I think is inappropriate, I can say, now look, wait a minute, we're going to, you know, this is something that really can't be done. But it's very important that that you have that function. And I believe that if we can do that right, then we will have something. And other people say, well, isn't that going to cost a lot of money? Well, I'd like to point out that we already spend almost $1 million a year on various audit functions. And what we need to do is to put our priorities in the right place and be sure that we're looking after the taxpayers' money. Now, I believe if we can do this, and I have also suggested some other measures that I think are important to integrity in government, and part of that is accessibility and openness. Because one of the questions that I get as I go around the county was, okay, it's a campaign, and you're out here in the community trying to get my vote, but how do I know that when you get up there in that office that you'll ever be back out in the community, or that I'll ever get to talk to you again? And that's an important question. And so I have pledged to have quarterly meetings around the city with the appropriate people, like you'll come as my director of public works, or people that have important responsibilities, so that the people can talk openly and let us know how we're doing and what the problems are and what changes they'd like to see. And also pledge to have, on a monthly basis, one afternoon a month, some open office hours where a private citizen can see me. I mean, I can't spend all afternoon with one person, but I can spend a few minutes, and you know, you won't feel like there's no way to get to see the mayor. And I've also pledged to be out in the community on a regular basis, because I think that's important as well. So I think that openness and accountability are two steps that we can take to ensure the voters of metropolitan Nashville that this is going to be their government and that they can have some faith.
I know another special interest in terms of integrity in government, I think we see information about it at all times in the newspaper, has to do with promotions and purchasing. And why don't you look at those as two issues and say how your campaign sees promotions and purchasing as part of your whole campaign of integrity in government?
Now, and these are all tied back to, well, the purchasing things particularly tied back to the internal audit, because we need that internal audit to say that that purchasing is being done on a rational system, on a merit system, instead of on a buddy system. Because the kind of things that we are seeing in the purchasing, and that's over $100 million of the city's $700 million budget, is being done on the basis of who gave to the campaign instead of who is really the low bidder. So we see bids that are going out. We see jobs that are being taken outside the bid system. A contract may be allowed to run for many years with projects simply being added on without being rebid and being put on, I hope I'm making sense, on a cost-plus basis. So you're not really saying how much it's going to cost till after it's done. We find that Metro pays too much for many things that it buys, that we pay, for example, I talked to a fireman who went to the uniform store with his colleague from Goodlettsville, and they bought the same jacket, only the Metro contract was $20 more than the Goodlettsville contract. And we are just, because we've had too much politics in that system, we're simply paying too much for much of what we buy. The internal audit is, again, one of the ways to get to the bottom of that and to say we're going to do this on a business-like, on an efficient and business-like basis. Now, on the promotional side, we have a different kind of political maneuvering, if you will. And that has to do with the mayor, or it could be others, simply having too much influence over the decisions that are made. And the place where this has been the most evident, but not necessarily the only place it's occurred, is with fire